Hello. Okay, this video is for to explain the standards and the system that we use in Canary constructions. Okay, this is the template drawing, which already has a drawing, a residential project. Now, on this side here that says resources, we have some squares, and actually that's the order of the aspects of the drawing we're gonna explain and we're gonna follow. So the first thing is the drawing organization, which is this thing, and as you can see, is the whole drawing grid. And in here, we divide the drawing into three areas. This is existing, this is proposed, and this is also for proposed and for specific documentation. At the same time, we divide the drawing into floor plans, this area, all these squares, and sections and elevations at the bottom. So this is like the zero line. Now, existing and demolition and proposal are follow the same structure, and it has a bigger square for site analysis, or in the case of proposal, for the site proposal. And then you see, and you notice that there is a small square for plans and a rectangle for elevations. This one. Okay, what is this? This, which is these guys here. Yeah. This is to set the insertion point of reference blocks. We will see that in a minute, but we very strict on the insertion points. As an advance, you'll see that we normally work everything on blocks, and we work a lot in editing block and editing place. So this will be for demolition for the basement, proposal for the existing. We have a context block, a landscape. Also, we have for every level. We have a planning block, but we even have those for elevations and sections, or the side block in elevation is something like this. These blocks have to be with an insertion point all in the same place. Why? Because then it's very easy to reorganize, to delete one block, or to froze one block and change the location, and it comes very handy. For instance, these three columns here are nothing but the architectural plans just rotated to do the elevations and the sections. So we can in any minute just delete this because we don't even need it. It doesn't reference on the layouts. But at this state that I was drawing starting to draw elevations and sections, that comes very handy. Now, in here I'm gonna explain, but it will be in a future video, a bit of the type of approvals in Australia and the previous stages, so we don't need to worry. This, we don't need to worry about numbering the drawings at this stage. This is the usage of the layout. There are some notes. How does it work? Our title block has 4 different visibility states, A3, and it has some custom fields, which are these ones with a gray background. These custom fields come here: file, drawing properties, custom, and then there's the address and the client and everything, then just updates in the title block. And this one, the sheet name and the sheet number, where we have to just change it here. Okay, these are the title blocks we use in the proper layouts. See, and then we have some title blocks that are invisible, these orange ones, and that we use to do some drawings and just place it so we know more or less how big is the drawing in reference to the paper. Then we have here a list of the colors, how do they print, but as a general rule, you'll see that color 30 and 40 they are they just print in white, so they are invisible. Then the colors, these colors are preference for materials that we normally are asked by council to do it this way. These are the colors we prefer for vegetation and timbers. Then some for diagrams, these for they translate, they print into gray, and then the grayscale is as per its color. And the important ones are color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they come from the darkest and the thickest to the 5, which is the lightest. Then the 6 will be black but thin for annotation. 7 will be black, so that's the actual thick. It's very thick. 8 and 9 print. They invert the colors. So 9 is contrast a lot in the black background, so prints in dark gray, and same with color 8. Then these colors we use for demolition, 13 and 15, but then when we print, 15 prints 13 and 13 15, and this is just because of the contrast of the screen. It's easier to see 13, but when in a white background it's easy to see 15. So yeah. And then we have a list of layers, but layers I recommend that we follow just the layers as we have it in the layer panel, and we have some description of every layer, what goes in every layer, and the states. Then we have some commands for ACAD PGP, which is, I find really handy. And this, if we go to format, sorry, to format, where is this? Tools, customize, edit program parameter ACAD PGP. You just copy this and paste at the end of the text, and then have to restart AutoCAD. Then we have some annotation styles, the type of text, the type of RLs, the type of room tag, the layout, the callouts like elevation sections, grids, north, tags, and dimensions. We use this and nothing else. I mean, or only text. Then we have some legends like general, the index, and abbreviations. Then we have some architectural, basic ones. Then we have some more specific annotation for water and for hydraulics, etc. Miscellaneous here. Then we use these blocks and nothing else. We don't want any blocks into the drawing, or we use only this. And if we need something new, we just create it, do it properly, and put it inside. Now, these blocks are, most of them are with visibility states. So I say that all these blocks are all the same. Only that change the visibility state. The table, you can choose like, okay, 3 seats or 2 seats or 4 seats, and same with many of them. Not all, but many. Then we have some cars, trees, and people. Yeah, and then we come to the important part, which is the way we work. We normally work with what we call internal reference. Now, these internal reference are for architectural. This will be architectural propose 1, and we have 1, 2, 3 because we might have options, but normally it's AP1. And then we have architectural existing and demolition. Now, this block, if I go to the layer, we see CCM, internal reference, architectural existing and architectural demolition. And the block, same stuff, CCM, block, architectural existing demolition, level 00. We see here, level 01. You see here, level 02. And they all reference to the same point. And this will be the same, only that for the propose. Propose 1, propose 2. I mean, people will find it a pain in the ass, I understand. At the beginning to draw, I'm not expecting people to put it into blocks, just draw normally. And in fact, when we start a project, we normally draw only on existing and demolition on this section of the drawing. And once we get the existing conditions done, then we don't need to worry. We create a block for every level and every elevation, and then we can play with them on the demolition aspect, right? So for example, I come to the this floor plan. I'm gonna turn off the hatches, okay? So we have this is the block of demolition and existing. So if I need to change a wall here, just go and edit block in place, and maybe we actually say that this is not demolition, or we transfer, or actually we're gonna keep this wall instead of demolish, but we're gonna make a hole here. Okay, let's say that this is in a new opening, so then this will be in the demolition thing, and this we have to then cut it, etc., etc., etc. Now it seems to be complicated, but actually becomes really, really, really neat, especially knowing that every block inserts in this little square everything, the context, the landscape, the planning, everything inserts in the same place. So we can put walls together, we can rotate, we can freeze the layers. Now a tip: FF on my CAD commands is to turn off layers. What happens when a block has different layers is that you cannot turn it off unless you freeze the layer that contains the block, and will freeze everything inside. For example, I come here and I turn off this one as a freeze, uh, existing and demolition, and it will just turn everything off. Or let's say that I just freeze planning, and I freeze also site. Yeah. Okay, so in here you have a sample of on this particular project, which is we have the context one, we have landscape for different levels, we have planning one, we have site, and we have a structure. Now, we should not rename the blocks. We just need to edit the blocks and update it into the new drawing, and that would be very easy. And then coming soon, we're gonna have the same with the finishes and building elements, compliance, electrical, hydraulics, etc. Now I go back to finalize the video. I go back to layers. Actually, go in the menu would be easier. Yeah. So you see that we have layer or auxiliary layers. This will be for this orange grid, and then one for revision. If we need to do a revision cloud, we put it there. Then we have data layers, which is for annotation and diagrams and entourage. This one is are not really related to the project itself as a physical things, as something that you can touch, but gives information. That's very simple. Like these rooms will be in the layer annotation. These wardrobes and furniture will be in layer entourage. These symbols here will be in layer diagrams. Anything that is like a diagram, which is a diagram. And then in the internal reference, you can use layers, or you can use just by color. Once you get used to the drawing, you understand the philosophy behind, so you could perfectly draw everything in layer 0. In fact, I probably block editor. I probably think that just probably drawn everything in layer 0. Yeah, you see everything in layer 0. Just considering how things are going to be printed, but this is magenta. Normally annotation is in magenta. This is for the cavities and the fill. We normally use 254 hatch solid. Then this is the line type of the boundary. And if you see there is no boundary drawn, because that is in another internal reference block, which is the site block. This is the context block. So what is around the context block? Close editor and discard. For more information on that, you can just read the layers type. You have the drawing type just to draw. The external reference for images or external or another drawings from other people, and then the internal reference. So we have the existing demolition, proposed, the context, so everything outside the boundary, landscape, everything between the building and the boundary, planning for planning controls, maximum height, maximum footprint, things like that. Site, which is mainly the boundary and the areas of the boundary. That's key and have to be very, I mean, it's a fixed block, all of them, and then structure just normally grids of yeah, normally the grid lines, and then we have items. So we have built-in elements such as windows, balustrades, stairs, things like that we need to annotate. FFE, that comes from furniture, fixtures, and equipment, so things that we can move. Finishes and joinery, so the final layer of anything. And then we have compliance in construction, like normally specifications, electrical, hydraulic, mechanical, and then miscellaneous, because there are many other things we can do, but are not that common, so we can check everything in miscellaneous. So this is the general philosophy of the drawing, and I mean it takes a bit of time to get used to all the, for example, line types or all the layers and the uses of every layer, the colors. But after a few hours, that comes more familiar. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.